Leslie, you have a great weekend. Thank you so much for coming on. And right now, joining us for the second half of the show is the great Alfie Oakes. Alfie, how are you?
How you doing?
Doing
Wonderful
great.
to be here in sunny Southwest Florida, isn't it?
Right. We're getting ready for a nice, exciting next few days, right?
Well, I'm hoping it's not too exciting. I took one of the biggest beatings of my life, like a $17 million loss during Irma. I'm hoping it's nothing like that. I know that our whole community is hoping it's nothing like that, but we'll see. It's always exciting times.
So, Alfie, before we get into the school board stuff, tell us how business is.
Business is really good. I mean, the retail markets are doing phenomenal. Some of our other entities, like the processing business, with the input costs of everything just skyrocketing in Biden's America right now, are killing us on that front. Farm input costs are, I mean, insane, 200-300% increases. We're not talking about like what they're saying, a 15-20% increase of inflation. This is 200 to 300% increase just about across the board. I did an interview on Tucker Carlson for an hour, and it was an hour-long interview. It's been a few months ago, but I talked about how we're cutting our farm acreage back in half this year, which I've never done. I've been growing and growing and growing my whole entire life as far as their farm acreage, but we're cutting back because the input costs are insane, and we're competing with Mexico, who is running more drugs across the border than ever on their trucks. So it makes it really hard economically to compete with them.
Crazy. So do you see any recovery anytime soon, or you feel like the administration has to change?
The only recovery is if we can have a red wave in 2022 here for this midterm, and then get this globalist clown out of there that's killing us.
How are you feeling about the Senate? The House looks okay, but how are you feeling about the Senate?
I feel better about the Senate than some people, but it all comes down to how much election fraud we can curtail. There's massive amounts of fraud. I'm going to be with a group that's going to be releasing a huge amount of information here in the next probably week to 10 days about some more massive election fraud that people haven't heard of, and I can't speak a whole lot about it right now, but it's massive. I even I'm going to be on a Zoom with the sheriff on Wednesday with a lot of the cyber guys. There was, believe it or not, there was a lot of widespread fraud right here in Florida during our primaries, and I think we're going to be able to show that. People are hopefully going to go to jail for it, and looking forward to trying to correct this system. This should not be a partisan issue. Making sure that your vote counts should not be a partisan issue at all.
Well, last national question. How is it looking to you as far as Trump or DeSantis for president?
Well, I mean, I'd love to see either one of them. I think Trump would be a better president just because of the experience that he's had. He's got 4 years under his belt in D.C. He's had time to realize of all the people that stabbed him in his back. DeSantis has been bold, but being governor is not the same as being president. I would love to see DeSantis as president after Trump completes his term. But if you ask me who would be the more effective president, I think Trump has got just a superior knowledge of the lay of the land in the very corrupt environment, the swamp that we call Washington D.C. And I think because of that specifically, I have close to 4,000 employees. I pride myself on the success of our business. How I got from the back of the pickup truck to here was by being able to surround myself with good people, but also identify characteristics in people that make them effective. And obviously Donald Trump and Ron DeSantis are both incredibly effective men. But if I had to, either one, I would be elated to have. But if I have to pick the best one, it would definitely be Donald Trump. And on this, it reminds me of the school board. So I'm very much behind Denise Nystrom and Brendan Leslie that is doing the podcast here at See the Table sometimes. He's for Jada and I think that Brendan.
Before you get to that, Alfie, you've had some history with the Lee County School District, the school board. Is that over with? Is that anything you can update us on?
It's not even close to over with.
Okay.
I can't. I can't comment a lot except for I can tell you they're nervous. We're kicking their ass. We know what they did. They violated my First Amendment rights. They operated out of the sunshine. Really, really terrible things that they've done there. And I can't wait for our day in court. We're set up to go in front of the federal court in front of the judge here for trial in February.
Okay, February.
And I'm really looking forward to it.
Okay, so Denise, you were talking about maybe a little bit of a split, because a lot of the times you know with you and Leslie, and you know we're all kind of on the same.
I mean, hey, this is America. That's the great thing about America. We can, Brendan Leslie can decide to vote for Biden if he wants to, right? So, but I think it's Brendan Leslie. That's his personal trainer. He knew her way before she ever decided to start to run. So there's a personal relationship. One thing I don't like to do is I don't like to put my personal relationships into who I'm getting behind as a person that that's running for office. We just had this thing with Byron Donalds and the fact that Kelly Lichter is suing his wife. That the personal things do not determine who's the best candidate just because of your personal relationships or your personal gripes. I understand if Byron doesn't want to vote for her, I get it 100%. But if someone was suing my wife and they were the best candidate, then that's who I'm going to get behind. You got to leave the personal things out of it. I think Brendan's made it personal, and he's a young man. He's got a lot to learn. And Denise Nystrom has been showing up. She's been to 10x more school board, maybe 20x more school board meetings over the last year and a half than Jada does. She's a hardcore conservative. I've vetted her very hard, and I know that we want to say, oh well, she's from up north, she's from New York. Well, Brendan's from up north too. So is Donald Trump, and they were there. And Donald Trump was a Democrat before. I'm telling you that I know Denise Nystrom's spirit, and that. And I'm not saying, first of all, I'm not saying that Jada Langford Fleming is not. I'm not saying that she's a bad candidate. She's not. I think she's an America First candidate. But if I'm figuring out who I'm going to hire for the job, I know that Denise is much more effective. She's much more of a bulldog. She's a fighter. And she is for all of our conservative values. Make no mistake. Everything that I've seen from her has been where she is out there on the line fighting for cutting the budget. I mean, this budget for Lee County schools is insane. $2 billion. Yeah. It's insanity. And I guarantee you, I could run that school system for $1 billion less and give them twice the education. And I'm hoping to actually, after we mop the Lee County school board up and I take all that taxpayer money, I'm not going to use it for my personal self. I've pledged that I will take the money that I get, whatever money I get from the Lee County schools. I'm going to open up a school in Lee County. Okay. I went to school in Lee County, and I'm a product of Lee County schools, which were very good to me. I went to Tice Elementary in East Fort Myers, and then I went in Cape Coral to Calusa, and then North Fort Myers High School. And I have affection for Lee County, even after they tried to violate my First Amendment rights. We're going to correct that.
The question I have for you is, how hard do you think it's going to be for Denise to win? Jade is in the machine. For one thing I've learned being in Lee County is when you're in the machine, you don't just get half the machine behind you. You get a gigantic machine behind you, and they're behind her. So how hard do you think it's going to be for Denise to pull this one out?
Well, it's going to be tough. I think we're going to work hard to get the word out. I mean, hopefully people get on the ground, and really this is a time more than ever where we can't listen to the establishment. Terry Miller has done a great job at pushing a lot of establishment politicians out of that area, and it's really sad what's going on in the Lee County REC, in my opinion. I came in as state committee man here in Collier County, and we transformed our REC from a very much rhino, almost Democrat REC, Republican REC. We changed it into people that are America First candidates, and that's why we've been able. You even got our own REC backing the America First candidates that all came in first place here in Collier County. But unfortunately, it has not evolved that way in Lee County. I pray that people pay attention to what happened down here and that we get America First candidates back, because nothing more than I despise more than a rhino, someone that wants to put an R behind their name. And I'm not a fan of the Republican Party at all. And I'm at the REC meeting, every single month, and and then Bob this as a state committee man. But the Republican Party is slimy, just like the rest of it. This is all, just like the rest of the politicians on both sides, and it's getting really hard to find people that are true to our liberties, to our individual liberties, and not true to their self and their own pockets, and that's what DC's filled up with.
Do you think Jada is a rhino? Is that what you mean?
No, I'm not going to say that she's a rhino. I'm not. I think Jada's a good person, and I'm not. I'm just saying that the people that are there's a lot of candidates that unfortunately that Ron DeSantis got behind that aren't the best candidates, and I don't. Donald Trump did the same thing. Donald Trump got behind some candidates that were very mediocre candidates, and there's always someone that's in their ear. Corcoran up there in Tallahassee is in DeSantis' ear, speaking to him about who he likes, and that goes a long way. And we have Susie Wiles is who determines who Trump gets behind in the biggest ways. I mean, Trump ultimately makes the decision. DeSantis ultimately makes the decision. But when you have these other people that are intermediaries, they paint a different picture sometimes, and then they do things that maybe aren't the best. But it's only because obviously they don't have the time to dig in and spend. I've probably spent 200 hours with Denise Nystrom to get to know her, and I spent a lot of time with her before I decided that I was going to back her, because I don't like to get buffaloed. This is a very crucial time in history where I think that we all learned this in the last 2 years, that all these little local positions, these local elections, have in tremendous consequences.
Yeah.
And we have to have, it's not about how smart you are. I don't even care about how smart you are. I care about how bold are you. How much are you going to stand on your conviction that when the stuff gets tough and the teachers unions bring it all on, and you got these superintendents, I mean, the whole system is corrupt, as we know. But when the pressure comes on, who's going to be able to stand the ground? Who would I want to be in the foxhole with?
So this whole thing in Lee County about electing the school superintendent now came out of left field. What is that all about?
It's sad. I mean, and I understand, like, there's always a reason for it, because these superintendents have been, like, they're pushed by these left-leaning groups, right? That actually they find all the superintendents for all the schools in the country, right? And we know who funds them and where they come from. So I understand wanting to elect them, because the people would probably elect someone better than most of the ones that have been almost installed by this leftist group. But at the end of the day, the superintendent needs to work for the school board, the people that are elected. That's the way it's supposed to work. They get elected, they call the shots, they decide who the superintendent is going to be to work for them, and the superintendent takes orders from them. Somehow in the course of the last 20 years, it's all come ass backwards, where these teachers unions really bring in these really strong superintendents that actually dictate to the board of how they want it to go, and it has been going that way for a long time, because they've done a great job finding these kind of weak, feckless people on the board. The board of Lee County, it's really terrible. I feel bad for Lee County that they have so many weak members in that position, and with that much of a budget, we would like to have somebody that's got enough maybe business sense. When we see the massive amount of fraud that's happened there, my deposition that came out, we in that deposition, I unleashed on a lot of fraud that was happening, and they're investigating on it now. So I hope it goes somewhere.
So for people that are watching and listening, why should they vote for Denise over Jada? Why are you voting for Denise over Jada?
It's simple, and I'm not going to trash Jada at all, because I think she's a good person and could be a good candidate, just not nearly as good as Denise is. Denise is tenacious. She's worked harder on the campaign than Jada has, and she's more worked hard directly with trying to make change within the school board over the last year or so. While I was very much involved in the Lee County, what was going on in the Lee County School Board from afar, I was paying a lot of attention of it, but not really immersing myself in it because of the lawsuit. I got to see the fruit of what she's capable of, and if it doesn't work out where she's a school board candidate, I'd love to bring her to work because she's an amazing hard worker and got a great work ethic. And I can tell you that she couldn't be more conservative. I really don't like it when we take, I remember everyone's telling me, oh, all these people coming down from New York and from these northern states, and we all saw the stuff, don't New York or Florida. Well, guess what? Like 70% of the people that have been coming down here are voting to be Republican or nonpartisan, and so a lot of it's not all liberals up there.
Right.
We're seeing 7 out of 10 people that are moving down from there that have much more of a conservative mindset.
Whenever I post something on our Facebook page about Denise, who we are in favor of also, people are immediately contacting us that she's toxic, and all the conversations that I've had with her, there's been none of that. I have no idea what they're talking about.
I've never seen anything toxic about it. She's fighting for the position. She's been nothing but respectful. I don't know where that comes from. I know that I saw Brennan was on there saying about her friends that she hangs out with. I know a few of her friends. I know that Jacqueline Perez is, you may like her, you may not like her, but she's done an amazing job at exposing a lot of the corrupt behavior that's been going on within the school board, and she's incredibly valuable to getting to the truth and finding and really smoking out a lot of the corruption that's been going on in there. And that's why they hate her. That's why the establishment hates her so much. The establishment hates Jacqueline Perez. They probably hate Denise Nystrom because of some affiliation of being a friend or something. But I think that Denise's intent is to come in there and really try to clean up the school board and the school system, the Lee County school system, from this corruption.
Any final thoughts, Alfie, before we let you go?
No, just thank you for having me on the show. I love Lee County, grew up there, and I hope everyone really does their research. Don't listen to just what I say or what someone else says. Try to get to meet the candidate a little bit and see what you think about them, because this is a crucial time where those candidates are so important that we need to take the time to vet them ourselves.
All right, Alfie, thanks so much for your time. We appreciate it, and we'll talk to you soon. Have a great weekend.
Thanks so much. You as well.